have heard the adage, half knowledge is dangerous. However, it becomes lethal when the person with half knowledge has power, authority, and the platform to speak his mind. The same has happened with Rajasthan Congress chief Govind Singh Dotasara, who appears to be on a suicidal streak to miff the Rajasthanis by dissing their cultural icon, the great Maharana Pratap. The Congress government in the state is already performing dismally, and the statements by its leaders are making sure that the party gets wiped out coming the next assembly elections. And welcome, you're watching TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Apurva, and if you haven't subscribed to TFI English yet, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to receive all the recent updates. Coming back to the story, in this video I will tell you how Rajasthan Congress's comment on Maharana Pratap will be the last nail in its coffin. Let's begin. Former Rajasthan Education Minister and Congress State Unit President Govind Singh Dotasara have found himself in hot waters once again for his half-baked knowledge. Reportedly, during Congress's two-day training camp in Nagaur, Dotasara accused the BJP of doing politics in the name of Maharana Pratap. The Congress leader said that the struggle between Maharana Pratap and Akbar was just a power struggle, but the BJP and the RSS link it to the nation and religion. The Congress chief further added that BJP had restructured the curriculum in the Vidya Bharati schools during its rule to glorify Maharana Pratap. He said that the BJP had included the fight between Maharana Pratap and Akbar as a religious fight, whereas it was a power struggle. He added that BJP sees everything through the prism of Hindu-Muslim religion. The Congress government in Rajasthan is now on the receiving end of flack for downplaying the valor of Maharana Pratap. BJP MP from Jodhpur and Union Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat took to Twitter to teach Dotasara a lesson. He tweeted, "The Mughals may have gone, but they have left behind their Congress agents who linked the fight for the honor of the motherland with power." On what basis is Rajasthan Congress State President Govind Singh Dotasara saying that our pride Maharana Pratap had only fought with Akbar for power? However, this is not Dotasara's first rodeo with the delicate issue. In 2019, when a man vandalized the statue of Maharana Pratap, the then Education Minister in Govind Singh reportedly remarked that it was not necessary to know who won the battle between the two. He further refused to acknowledge that Maharana Pratap was a great leader, even greater than Akbar. Instead, Dotasara remarked that he will make an assessment based on reports and findings of his government. As reported by TFI last year, in an attempt to correct the corrupted history, the Archaeological Survey of India announced that it was removing plaques across the state that had altered the version of valor of Maharana Pratap. The action was undertaken after BJP MP Diya Kumari from Rajasthan requested the Union Tourism and Cultural Minister to correct the plaques. Throughout the history books, the left Marxist historians soiling themselves for the Mughals have claimed that Pratap lost the Haldighati battle despite having little to no evidence and relying on hearsay and anecdotal proofs to corroborate their claims. Thus, a little history lesson never hurts anybody. The Battle of Haldighati was fought on June 18, 1576, which the now removed plaques wrongfully mentioned being June 21, 1576. Akbar, the then Mughal emperor, was on a quest to conquer the entirety of India. Having annexed nearly every Rajput state and princely region in West India, the final frontier for Akbar's grand plans passed through Uday Singh, the father of Maharana Pratap and his kingdom. Akbar laid siege to Chittorgarh in October 1567. The Rajputs were surrounded and besieged by the Mughals. Uday Singh was forced to quit, and the responsibility of defense was given to King Jaimal of Merta, who was killed during the battle. Uday Singh continued to stay in the forest of Aravalli till his death 4 years later. So let's know how Maharana Pratap mobilized his forces. Fast forward, Maharana Pratap took charge of the forces and two armies gathered to fight in the yellow turmeric-colored soil of Haldighati, surrounded by the Aravalli mountain range. There is no denying the fact that Pratap's army was far outnumbered by Akbar's army led by Man Singh of Amber. Some estimates say that Pratap's 3,000 strong force went toe to toe against the 80,000 soldiers of the Mughal Empire. A fierce battle ensued, and despite being small in numbers, the Rajputs more than made up for it with their valor and sheer indefatigable spirit. To revive the falling morale in the Mughal camp, a soldier spread the rumor that Akbar himself was taking the field for the battle. Surrounded by the enemy fighting with a renewed vigor, Maharana Pratap did not stop fighting and threw a spear at Man Singh, which unfortunately, instead of hitting him, pierced the mouth of his elephant. Sensing the situation turning worrisome for his king, who has been fighting alone with the hundreds of Mughal soldiers, Man Singh Jhalla of Badi Sadri donned the visible emblems of Mewad's ruler and created a diversion for Pratap to gather himself. Jhalla was eventually killed, but Pratap managed to gallop away towards the surrounding hills. By the time the light of moon fell on the battlefield and brought an end to the 4-hour-long battle, both armies had suffered casualties, with Mughals receiving more hurt due to the obvious bigger size of the army. While Pratap lost his beloved Chetak, he still remained in the fight. Chandrasekhar Sharma, an associate professor at Meera Girls College in Udaipur, notes, in the light of recent research and evidence, historians have come to the conclusion that Pratap's army never retreated from the Battle of Haldi Ghati. The war was won by Pratap. The school history books currently in circulation across the country are replete with innumerable botched stories regarding the rich history of Bharat. There are several kingdoms and kings whose reigns are barely mentioned in the books. Freedom fighters who died giving their lives for the motherland are reduced to caricaturist figures, while the likes of cruel, blood-hungry rulers like Akbar, Tipu Sultan and Aurangzeb are glorified as the apostle of patriotism, and leaders like Govind Singh blindly lap it up and regurgitate their toxicity on public platforms.